Hi, I'm Vanessa from SpeakEnglishWithVanessa.com.
And I'm Dan.
And today we're going to talk about how to use the word use deeply.
Use the word use.
Yes. Are you ready to get started?
Ready.
Let's go. Today we're going to talk about 3 ways to use the word use. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to join Dan and I every month for a 1-hour vocabulary lesson in the Fearless Fluency Club. There's a link in the description below. Let's get started with the first way. I want to know, Dan loves coffee, so I want to know, in the morning, what are some things that you use to make coffee?
Well, I have a pretty strict regiment for how I make my coffee. So I use a lot of things.
Yeah.
So first I use a kettle to boil the water. I use a mug, obviously, to hold my coffee. I use a grinder to grind up my coffee, and it's a pretty nice grinder. And then I use a filter in the cup. I don't know what you call the cup for it, but we call it a pour over.
The type of coffee is called
The type of coffee is a pour over. So I use a little filter and then a filter holder to put the coffee in and then pour the hot water into the filter, and then it filters through and makes the coffee.
Yep, makes the best coffee possible, right?
Yes. Oh, and then of course I use coffee.
Oh, of course, you use coffee.
Coffee beans.
So here we're talking about using something. So there is an item and it's important for a process such as making coffee. You use it.
Right.
And this is a really neutral way to use the word use. It's not positive, it's not negative, it's just neutral.
Yes.
Because the second way is going to be a little more negative.
Yeah.
But it's not using an item, it's using someone. So when we say, oh, I think that my friend's boyfriend is using her. Ooh, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so if you use this word with people, then it means that you are taking advantage of them. You're being selfish and you're not thinking about them at all. You only want to get something from them.
Yes.
So that's why you would say, he's using her, or I feel used.
Right. So when you're using something, like I'm using a kettle to boil water, it's really neutral. But when you say I'm using him, I'm using her, it's much more negative because it means that you don't care about that person. You just want something from them. So, for example, maybe you know somebody who doesn't know how to speak English well, and they meet someone who is a native English speaker. And maybe that person who is a native English speaker is really nice, but the person who doesn't speak English well wants to be their friend, not because they're a nice person, but because they only want to use them as a free teacher.
Yeah.
So in this situation, maybe the native English speaker feels a little bad. Like, I want a real friend. I thought they liked me because I'm a nice person.
Yeah.
But really that person was using them.
Yeah. Or they're not giving anything in the relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're just taking.
They're only taking. Yeah.
Right. So using someone is pretty negative. So if someone says to you, I think your boyfriend is using you. Oh, that's a really negative thing. So it means you should probably listen to them, think about it, maybe break up with him if it's true. So make sure that you're not using someone else. You really genuinely care about the people in your life, your friends, your family. You're not just taking their skills.
Yes.
So another quick example, because I think this verb is a little complex and because it's rude, you're going to want to make sure you use it correctly. So for example, recently our car had some problems and I know someone who is a mechanic, but I feel bad asking them to fix our car because he's really our friend and I don't want him to think that I'm using him. He has a great skill. He knows how to fix cars. But if every time I had a car problem, if I said, hey, can you help with my car? Hey, can you help with my car?
For free?
For free. I feel like I'm using him.
You would just be using them.
Yeah.
You should at least buy them lunch.
Sure, maybe he feels like he's doing something amazing for me and I'm not giving him anything. I'm just taking. I'm using him.
Yeah.
So try not to use people.
Yes.
But you can use something.
Yes, and funnily enough, in this situation, we had a used car as well.
Oh, a used car. So what's
Yeah.
a used car mean?
Well, that means that it's already been used.
Yes.
It's not new.
It's not new. We had a used car. We didn't want to use our friend, so we had to use a different mechanic.
Whoa.
Oh, we used all three versions. Well, let's go to the final way. For our final way to use, we're actually going to talk about another version. Useful. Useful. So pay attention to this pronunciation. When we say use, there's some vibration happening here. I use a camera to make these videos. But when you say useful, it sounds like an S.
Yeah.
Useful. Useful. So I want to know, in your opinion, what are some things that are useful for learning English? What should English learners use?
What are some useful things for learning English?
Yeah, some
Well,
useful ideas.
I can think of something right here that's useful.
Yes?
These videos.
Oh, yes. I hope so. I hope
Yes.
it's useful to you.
So obviously a good teacher is very useful in learning English. I'd say YouTube and YouTube videos. That's a great tool, so it's very useful. And of course, if you know somebody who speaks English and you can speak with them, as long as you're not using them, that can also be useful to
Right.
talk to somebody who speaks English and practice in person. That's
Yeah.
really helpful.
Yeah, so I want to know for you, can you use this word in the comments below? What are some useful things for learning English? Share some tips. What do you think? What are some things that are useful to you? And if this video was useful to you, feel free to join us every month for a 1-hour vocabulary video for the Fearless Fluency Club, where you can learn vocabulary deeply, like today. Thanks so much for learning with us, and we'll see you the next time. Bye. Would you like to expand your vocabulary with Dan and I and express yourself more fully? The next step is to join the Fearless Fluency Club and become my student today. Click the picture to download a free sample lesson set. Thanks so much, and keep up the good work with English.